Okay, I am here at Hähnintupa. It's been about a year and a half since I last was here. Even though this is top 10 places I've ever been, I actually was here for probably one of my first vlogs I've ever done outside of home. This place is amazing with a lot of forest and stuff around you, just feeling the nature and fresh air and everything. I just love the place. The downside is that it's about an hour's drive from our home. My back's been a little bit sore and, well, gotta get a new bed. Now, why I brought you here is because I want to show you some product photography. What am I gonna shoot? I'm gonna shoot my watch. And, well, the theme that I wanted is a little bit foresty, a little bit like hiking and stuff. I got props in my backpack, so we're gonna just hike up and gotta find a great spot. Okay, beside the trail, I think I found a good spot. Let's see what we can do with it. I know this doesn't look much, but I think I'm gonna try and use this spot right here. The sun is blasting through the branches just enough to light it a little bit, but not too much. What I'm gonna use here is my R6 and the 35mm IS/STM macro lens that is an RF lens, just to give it like some details with the macro. And usually when I shoot product photos, I use, well, actually any kind of photos, when I shoot any kind of photos, the maximum aperture I use is 2.8 or 3, because I just love depth. I love it that we can just like highlight the subject and bring the picture some depth. I got my Timberland boots. And then I got some rope. Now, to bring even more depth to the photo, I'm gonna use some branches just to, like, you know, bring it depth. It's like 20 degrees Celsius out here. No winds because we're in the middle of nowhere in the forest. Hot like hell. So, while we're here, why not head up to the top? I really do hope that DJI gets its shit together at some point, because I'm really tired of carrying my old phone with me just to fly a drone. I've tried to minimize the clutter that I have with me on trips like this, and now I have to carry my phone and a drone phone, so to speak. So too much phones. At least I don't need two phones to come on a trip like this. I could just fly the drone with my newest phone, but the remote control does not approve Android 12 right now, so it just shows a black screen. Show us. I'm so out of shape. Whew. The climb up here is pretty steep, but got here in one piece. Just one look at these views before we leave home. You can't even get one sentence without breathing in. God damn it, these are beautiful views. So you're probably eager to see how I edit those photos, so let's head back to the studio and edit them. And welcome back to the studio. Right here I am going to show you how we're gonna edit these product photos. So let's get straight on to it. First of all, from all the pictures I took, I selected these 5 photos that were the best to me, that looked the best. So that's why I picked them, because they look the best. And The first one is a normal kind of product photo with something on the foreground, just looking really nice. Then I used the branches that I showed you on the foreground. Then a close-up shot that gives a little bit of the macro perspective. Then I like the highlights on this one. It just blows out the photo from the background. So let's see what it looks like when we edit it. And then just a basic like flat lay shot sort of, just to put it in there. First off, we're gonna start to play with the tone curves. I love using this kind of, I call it a J curve. I don't use an S curve that much. The J curve is enough for me. Let's just put it there, bringing out the highlights a little bit and pushing the blacks a little bit. And that's okay. That just tweak it a little bit. You can see what it looks like by tweaking the black. Then we're gonna go to the color, or the color curve. So put a little S curve on every color, the red, the green, and then the blue, like that, and just like that. And that's it for tone curves. Then we're gonna go to basic correction. So first of all, my pictures are usually kind of moody, so I put down the exposure a little bit to make it a little bit moody, like that. Okay, then I put up a little bit of contrast, just like that. Push up the shadows and the blacks, then push down the highlights and the whites, just like that, so it gives it a little bit of a mood and some contrast. And as you can see, the clock itself is really dark. It isn't showing that much. We want it to pop out a little bit, that you can actually see the Timberland logo in the watch. It's behind that glass, but there's a lot of reflections and stuff going on, a lot of shadows, so we want to bring it out a little bit. So we're gonna go into the masking and select subject and see what kind of a job it does, and pop. Now, selecting the subject in masking, it brings in the shoe a little bit with it. I don't really want that shoe there, but we're just gonna go along with it and see what comes out of it. We're gonna push up the shadows because that's what we want. We want to get rid of the shadows, just like that. Okay, let's see what highlights does. Okay, let's keep a little bit of highlights, giving a little bit of light to it too. And then let's add a little bit of contrast. That's nice, that's looking good. But as you can see, the clock is still pretty dark. I still want to make it pop out more. So we're gonna use just a basic brush. Okay, that's a little bit too big. Let's smallen that up a little bit. Good, and then just color out the center of the watch like that, nice and smooth. You like that, don't you, little watch? Yet again, let's try with the exposure. Okay, that looks good. Pop up the shadows, put down the highlights. Now, I don't usually suggest that you do anything with the texture because it might make the subject or the picture look grainy, and I think it's really dangerous to touch the texture button. I think it's a foreign kind of context thing that I don't really see many people touching the texture bar unless they want to get rid of that grain. For example, in wedding photos, it's taken in a dark room or a dark dance floor and there's a lot of grain in the background, so the texture is actually pretty good for that. You can brush all that grain, put down the texture, and the grain goes away. But in this case, I'm gonna pump it up just a little bit, that the logo from the background is gonna pop just like that. And then maybe put down the dehaze a little bit. And there you have it. It pops up. Just a little, just that you notice the logo on the background. Of course, you always want to put some sharpness into the subject to bring it out even just that tiny hint more if you're gonna, for example, put it in Instagram so it looks nice and clear when it's showing on a phone screen. Okay, so now we've done the editing and this is what it looks like now, but it still isn't moody enough what I'm kind of looking for. So we're just gonna close the masking tab. We're gonna go over here. Let's put in some clarity. Then lower down a little bit. No, not that much clarity. Lower down the dehaze. And then just straightforward, put down the exposure a little bit. That is what I like. This is my product photo. Now what I like to do is I synchronize this photo with every other photo that I have, that it just, all the product photos of that product look as close to the same as the first one. Now I want to crop these photos and I'm gonna probably, like I said, put them on Instagram. So I'm gonna go, let's just go here and go with the 4x5. Forgot that. Let's put the 4x5. And I just want to show as much as I can and let the subject breathe. So let's just put it as big as we can. Actually, that's good. Doesn't have to be full. And that's it. First photo done. Now to the second photo. This is actually pretty nice by itself. I'm loving how the branches look, but we do want to adjust the crop and we do want to adjust the watch itself. So here we just put in that crop there. Of course, we're gonna take the brush out again like this and just brush it out like we did before. And then pump up the shadows, maybe put a little bit of exposure so the watch is clear as possible. You could put in some sharpness here if you want to. Now the reason why I never adjust the blacks when I'm masking something is this. Usually I get this result, whoop, and it looks just awful. I never touch the blacks when I'm adjusting the subject itself. Then a little bit of texture again, a little bit of clarity, and just pull down the dehaze a little bit. And like I said, the sharpness, and there you go. Next photo. Now this is the macro shot. By itself, I think this photo is just perfect. There's not much that I want to do with it, but yet again, the clock or the watch itself, I just want to mask it and just tweak it a little bit that we can show the background of the watch a little bit more and make that logo pop. So take the brush again and brush it. Wow, 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 wow. There you go. Brush it, brush it, brush it. And the only thing I'm gonna do here is just pump up the shadows. That's it. Pump up the shadows. I think that looks good. Okay, let's adjust the crop first. Adjust the exposure and it's put the highlights way down. Now it's looking actually much better. And yet again, take the brush out the watch itself. Wow, 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 wow. And tweak it and tweak it as you like. A little bit of sharpness, a little bit of texture, clarity, pump down the dehaze, and that's it. That's good. Now on to the next photo, the last photo. And yet again, this picture looks fine by itself. I'm just gonna mask yet again just the clock part, the watch part, and tweak it a little bit to make it look good, and that's it. Now, when you're doing product photography and editing product photos, you wanna look really carefully at the product. That is it clean enough? Now, when I close up to the watch, you can see these white specks all over, and I just want to get rid of those. So what I do is I right click, edit the photo in Photoshop, and then we wait a year or so, and it pops on into Photoshop. We zoom in and we take the spot correction tool and start that's what we do. Start taking all those spots away. Then when you're done, you just look it from a distance. And when you're done, you just press Ctrl W and press yes, and it teleports back to Lightroom, where you can do last tweaking if you want, or maybe change the colors a little bit. I did not change the colors because I love the natural look on these, so they're staying like that. Or maybe I'm gonna tweak them a little bit later on, but they're not that much that is gonna make a difference. But this is the process of my product photography. Product photos, editing and taking and editing product photos. Hope you liked the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because you're not gonna get more of these if you do not do that. I'm gonna make more of these, but you're not gonna get more of my videos. There's nobody gonna come and tell you that, hey, Dimo made a new video. It's only YouTube. It's only the subscribe and bell icon that do that. So remember, this is such a flimsy table, isn't it? Okay, I'll be seeing you in the next one.